I get basically kicked out of every rehab in California. So my parents are like, all right, let's send you to Florida. Let's try a new environment. And South Florida was like the rehab capital.
Of course, Delray.
Yeah. Delray, Boynton Beach. And it was just, I mean, I was shocked that like some of the places where the halfway houses were, or the sober homes were located like down the street from like the known markets where people like were, you know.
It's a scam. No one's more for sobriety than I am. I'm a sober person, totally opposed to drugs and alcohol, period. Mm-hmm. But let's just stop lying about it. These places are a scam. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are just a money-making scam, profiting off the misery and death of addicts.
Yeah, they see you as an insurance policy with a heartbeat.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it, you know. And
true villains, I think.
Yeah. No. The most sinister man probably, if you want to just pick one out, is his name is. He was that was the first treatment center I went to in Florida. So owned a treatment center, and he owned several halfway houses, but everything was in his wife's name. That's one thing that was like a red flag to me. And this guy shows up to the rehab center in like a 3-piece, you know, Armani suit with like a Gucci belt and like, you know, like dressed like a pimp, you know, I mean, and ironically, he is a pimp. So he had girls in his halfway houses that he was giving heroin, giving crack, and pimping them out, and then sending them back to treatment where they would ultimately fail their drug test and have to go to detox. And guess who gets a kickback from the detox center?
No way.
Yeah. And it was the South Florida Rehab Shuffle. There are many cases of it. If you just Google that, you'll see, you know, a bunch of different stories. But and as I would say is like the kingpin of just absolute scumbag, like you said, villain, a true villain.
So evil that it's hard.
So yeah, it's incomprehensible to me as a human being.
It's like a slave trader.
Yeah, essentially
treating people as objects, as animals.
Yeah, and
so is he still in this business? I never.
No,
heard of that.
he was sentenced to 27 years in prison.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
So the feds started to crack down on the Florida Rehab Shuffle. Although I read somewhere that it's supposedly coming back. Because it's basically, and you know, he was probably one of the worst offenders, but a lot of these guys were, you know, they would just like, you know, get these cheap homes, fill them with as many addicts as they could. Sometimes they would charge rent like $75 a week or something like that, plus the money they're getting from, kickbacks from the whichever treatment center they send them to. So you know, they're housed, they send them, and then if they go to detox, you know, the kickback, it's a revolving door of chaos and a revolving door of suffering and just pain for the addict. But they're making money at every stop.
This is disgusting.
It is.
Do the addicts in the rehab center understand that they are pawns in a profit-making scheme? I think
a lot of people were starting to wake up to it, and I knew one of the girls who was one of his victims, and she was always like, man, I just want to get the hell out of here. And she had this like look in her, like I could see that there was something. And I thought she was just very, like, you know, maybe had some issues with her family or whatever, just a very depressed, sad person, even for an addict. Like, I could tell that there was something, like, she was in absolute, like, misery and terror. She was afraid like, they were afraid, many people were afraid of him and what he would do if they spoke out. And it was heartbreaking for me to see that, you know, even as someone who's, you know, obviously committed crimes and things like that. I can't even imagine having the will to carry out such a monstrous act.
It tells you a lot. Here's the facts of life you may not learn until you're older, but I'm going to tell you now. It's very hard to have a good time if you're wearing bad boots. In fact, it may be impossible, and that's why you need Tecovas. As a matter of fact, you don't just need them, you owe them to yourself. Tecovas makes Western boots for everybody, ranchers, real ranchers, lifelong cowboys, first-time boot buyers, and anyone in between. Every Tecovas boot is handcrafted, made by hand, with over 200 meticulous steps for a broken-in feel right out of the box. You don't have to compromise between looks and quality. You can have them both. Whether it's a long day or a big night, Tecovas are built to last and impressed. You wouldn't believe the compliments people here get when they wear them out, which they do. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Tucker when you sign up for email and text alerts. That's 10% off at Tecova, TECOVAS.com/Tucker. So, I mean, that many rehabs, you met a lot of people. What did you learn about addicts?
Addicts are some of the most resourceful, intelligent people on the planet. Like, you drop an addict in the middle of the desert, and they're going to find the nearest tribe with an opium pipe, within 30 minutes. And so if you get...
They're single-minded, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but if you get them to... if you can, separate them from the drug and separate them from the addiction and turn that into something that's good, like, an addiction to work or addiction to helping others, that you can get addicted to. Like, I mean, for me, the reason I got sober, I think there's several factors that played into it. Obviously, God, and the intrinsic motivation, that I talked about, and having a fantastic support system that was there for me. They were just waiting for me to come to them, just like, hey, we're here. Just,
Your family?
Yeah, my family, and one of the halfway house owner who was kind of participating in the scam, but he cared. He genuinely cared about the people who were coming to his house. He did not allow any drug use or anything like that. I was at one place that was selling, this guy was selling crack to his clients at the halfway house.
No way.
Yes. And he was selling crack to just people in general. So we would get knocks on our doors at 3:00 in the morning from total fucking spun out crackheads.
Come on.
Yeah, no, man. And there was no door on the bathroom. It was 100, it was the middle of the summer in South Florida. It's like 110 degrees out, no air conditioning, just fans littered across the living room and down the hallways and stuff. And I mean, just an absolute shit show. And
people are smoking crack in the halfway house?
Yeah. His rule was, fine line, no needles. You can smoke crack, you can smoke whatever you want, just no needles. Like, oh, all right. Yeah.
Did you smoke crack in the halfway house?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
What do you think of crack?
I'd say it's very destructive, obviously. But in terms of like a high, it's like it's like 30 minutes of like, I can, kind of that I can conquer the world. You want to start doing all these like different tasks that you've been putting off, like because you feel confident about them now, but then it wears off. And then you're just like so depressed. And you think about every bad thing you've ever, it's like, I don't know if you've ever had like cocaine withdrawal, like, or, just coming off of cocaine after like a night of bender. Like my dad would tell me that when he would do coke, like he was just like, you think about like, yeah, in third grade when I pushed that kid, again into the stairwell or whatever, just like every, and just like you just feel like a piece of garbage and you're depressed.
Yes.
And
you pay for every happy moment.
Yes. And the crack, it lasts. It's like the high is so fleeting too. Like with heroin, at least you get like a few good hours of, a solid buzz. But with crack, it's like, it goes away relatively fast.
How many people in rehab or halfway houses did you meet who were determined to get sober?
Not very many.
How, every person, I think without exception, I know who's been addicted to drugs or alcohol who got better has a sense that there's, well, as they say in AA, a greater power, that there's God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, human beings have souls and each one is unique and important and life is important and life is better than death. And, it's sort of like the basic grounding of monotheism. So,
right.
Like, how big a role did God play in any of these rehab centers? Or?
Well, when I was living in the halfway house, the guy was selling crack to us, and I just smoked some marijuana for the first time in a long time, and it made me like very introspective. We can do that. Kind of like psychedelics too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I heard a voice in my head that I can only assume is just, a spiritual awakening, God saying, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you here surrounded by these people? Like, looking around, I'm just like, I have so much more to offer the world than what I'm just a derelict, and I don't have to be. I have people who love me. I have people who would die for me. My family is, are so loyal, and they love me so much. They just want me to stop being a piece of garbage. And I just, that day, I was like, I am done with this stuff. It's not fun anymore. Like, and I wanted to better myself. That was, so, I think that was God instilling the motivation. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I got sober at a crack. It's kind of funny, tried 50 different rehab centers, but ended up, getting sober at a crack house. But I think that's, it was.
So you were smoking weed in the halfway house?
Yeah, he didn't care about, and you could smoke anything you wanted in there, pretty much. I was just like, that day, I knew I was never going to touch an opiate again.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.